Hi you guys, today we're going to draw the fish. So make sure you're on the regular homework page on the side with the feather. I'm going to divide this in a vertical orientation. I actually don't have my ruler today, so I'm just going to use a straight edge and kind of estimate where my halfway points are. I know that's about 4 1/4, and that's probably about 5 1/2. Make sure I'm straight with the edge. All right, now let's start with the shape of the body, just so that we're thinking about the proportions. I want to have a nice long flowy tail, so I definitely want to leave some room for that. It's kind of like the shape of a lemon. So where I'm going to start with my vertical and horizontal along these red lines, I had that old orange line, ignore it. But definitely start along that edge, round the shape of the lemon. Think about the layout. How much space are we going to take? And over here on the left side, it's curving past the horizontal line right away. I'm going to leave that alone because we're going to come back to it. Over here where the mouth is, thinking about how this curves around. There's going to be the gills there, this belly, and then it needs to curve up. Now, I'll think about where the tail is going to be. I want the underneath to flow kind of straight down, and the tail fins are pretty transparent, so I can see there's a part behind. So on the back, this is the one that is behind, and then it ends at a point, and I can kind of barely see it behind the larger area. Now going back to this back line, I can see where this divides and there's like a shadow. And then it has a curvy edge on the bottom. Meets back over here. I kind of want to change that to curve in more. Now I'm going to go back and think about where I want my eye to be. Right above where the horizontal line is, close enough to the mouth area. The mouth has the lips a little bit wider at the top, and there's all these extra little lines happening. Come back and make some details a little bit later. Now for the fins, think about, it looks kind of like a mohawk on the top. Has a waviness, and then curving back towards the body. The bottom one starts curving along where the vertical line is. Now I want to make room for where these fins in the front are. There's a little bit of a curved line, and then the front one starts there, and it's overlapping the area of the body, has a rounded edge. So I want to go and make sure I erase that. Now the back one is a little bit smaller, and it's behind. I kind of need to adjust this fin a little bit. Shouldn't overlap that much. All right, I want to go back to a few details I missed on the eye. Inside of here, there are a lot of different highlights I want to mark, but definitely inside of the pupil area. Over here, there are like these wrinkly shapes, and then it's kind of like a U shape where there's more textures underneath the eyeball. I think I'm ready to start texture with my pens. So if you guys don't have any pens and you really want to try this with colored pencil, that would be okay too. I'm gonna use the 03 pen I have. It's just a little bit skinnier than an 05. I'm gonna start making the scales, kind of scattering them, but it's sort of making a pattern going in these kind of cross-hatching lines. And if I leave some space and try to connect it maybe later if I need it to get darker, like underneath, I mean connecting the scales to each other like that, you want to be precise so they're not like cutting each other off. So I feel like if you start by making these kind of rows of C shapes, that really helps. And in the middle of the fish, all of the light is hitting right there, and that's the part that's rounding out towards you. So those scales could be a little bit larger in the middle. Definitely we can keep this moving backwards, but on that back tail fin, there's mainly just stippling happening. So I want to think about how these little shadows are making it look like it's waving in the light and in the water. I'm gonna outline everything with the stippling edge and go back and erase my pencil line. That's something that I feel like, since we're not in the classroom together, a lot of students are forgetting to go back and erase the pencil lines. Don't forget to do that, you guys. We don't need our vertical and horizontal line right now at all. Even though we're doing ink, get rid of it. So I want to mainly use stippling, but in the belly area, I'm going to use a little bit of control scribble to build up the darker values. I really love this contrast between the dark and the nice light shimmery areas of the fins. So I'm gonna do stippling on top of this to make it look like it's all scales underneath there. To make any kind of line texture, I encourage you guys to do it with nice stippling. And if you're gonna do line textures, keep it really nice and uniform and don't be sloppy. In these fins, they have little line textures going from the body out. It's like this on the bottom, and then the one that I said is kind of like a mohawk. So if I build these up, it's gonna kind of guide my drawing, and I'm gonna remember the areas I want to go back and let the stippling fade out. It's okay if you use a lot of control scribble in the dark areas in this one. Anything that's all filled in dark, I'm using control scribble. Then going back, adding stippling on top. And then of course, as I'm building all of my scales, the pattern has to flow right here from the right to the left. I don't want to start on the end and then try to meet in, because it won't flow the same direction. In these little creases around the gills, I'm going to use stippling, fade it out. These fish, you guys are welcome to kind of change the shapes of the fins, be creative, make it your own. I encourage you to always use your best effort. Think about the best name for your fish. And I think that's about all I want to show you guys. If you have any other colored pen, I feel like that would look really cool too. I could add some blue in here, and I would definitely want to balance it out. But if you only have certain colors, that's okay. Use what you guys have access to. And if you're using all pencil, you just want to remember that you have to really push these values. If you have only a pencil, then overlap a bunch of times so that you can achieve a really dark value. And then of course fading to the white. You know, you would have to go through and make all of these nice little precise scales and then add some control scribble where you can. I really suggest you use a ballpoint pen if you don't have any kind of felt tip or anything like that. I want to show you guys an example of the fish I've been working on. It's pretty fun to fill in all these areas with the stippling and make it kind of flow up into the scales. I encourage you guys to spend more time than you usually would on these drawings. You can do it, and it's very therapeutic to just work on your drawing, you know, 10-15 minutes a day. Get in the zone. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck.